Welcome back to the Boys at 161st Street, first live episode. This episode is going to be about a little bit of a mixed bag of people. This one's about our boys Dietrich, Ford, and Bruce. We kind of wanted to lump them all together because we didn't really know what to do with them. They're all kind of rolling for the same spot on the team, so we wanted to just lump them together because, none of them are really going to have a significant enough role to do them by themselves, so we decided to put them together. So, without further ado, let's start talking about them. How we doing, boys?
Not bad. Hanging in there.
How's your day today, Murph?
Not great. Long day.
As you can see, I am already psyched for spring training. I got this shirt. I got the Yankees shirt off eBay. It's a Yankees Hawaiian shirt. Damon got one too. You guys need to get your hands on them before we get there, because I'm wearing this thing for the rest of time. I'm not wearing anything else. What do you mean you'll pass?
Not a big Hawaiian guy.
You don't have grit.
I don't know if I want to be by you at spring training if you're wearing that every single day until then, but
I do. Why would you not want to?
A fucking champion right there. I don't wash it until we win a World Series. I think that's the way to go.
This thing would get fucking disgusting if I did that. So, anyway, let's talk about these guys because, like I said before, they don't really make up they're not good enough on their own. Like, Jay Bruce has had his time. Jay Bruce is the one to me that actually had the most success on his own in his career on the field, just in any capacity. Like, he actually was good with the Reds. He was pretty good. I'm not looking at his stats right now, but I remember him being a good hitter, and he can definitely hit bombs, and that could definitely play in Yankee Stadium for sure. So, but when you look at all these players, Ford, Bruce, and Dietrich, they're all the same. They're all lefty bat. They're all power bats, and they could all take advantage of the short porch for sure. So, I personally love it. I love that we have depth now, and that was a big thing for Cashman to get some depth here, and these are kind of like the finishing touches, these two, in the addition, because Ford was going to be just like the sole guy, like the pinch hit guy again, but now he added a couple extra bats. Gardner not even included in this conversation because I think he's going to have more of a role. We're going to actually do a full roll call on Gardner, but I think he's going to have an actual full-blown role, and I think we all think the same. So that's why these guys are going to have much less of a role, and I think, Murph, you mentioned it before, what you think actually the loser of this competition, so to speak, like where do you see them being? Like, I think only one of these guys actually gets significant time on the team, at least to start. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think, bear with me, but I don't want to see any of them in the MLB because I don't think, if everybody's healthy, I don't think any of these three guys get up there, but realistically, with injuries, I think a couple of them, if not all three of them, could wind up in the MLB at least at some point. And I feel like they all bring something different to the table because Jay Bruce is not going to step foot in the outfield. If he's playing, he's either pinch hitting or DHing. There's no way I see him getting even an inning in the field. Dietrich, on the other hand, plays a bunch of different positions. He plays pretty much anywhere in the infield, and he can slide into a corner outfield slot if you need to. And then Ford obviously plays first. So as for who comes up, it depends on what we need. If we need somebody that can come up and hit and also play the field, then it looks like Dietrich, if it's any position other than first. If Voit gets hurt, I see Ford coming up. And then Jay Bruce, I don't know. But he might be the best. And he's definitely the most experienced out of all of those guys. So maybe he comes up if we don't need somebody to field. We just need a pinch hit bat. So that's kind of where I see it.
I'm kind of with you. I dear God, if any of these guys are playing regularly, then we're fucked in the first place. There's a lot going on and a lot bigger concerns. But I actually saw something today that was kind of it was kind of exciting for Jay Bruce. Since StatCast was invented, I'm not going to break down year by year or anything like that, but since that was brought into play in 2015, which I think was his age 27 season, he's been consistent in all the important metrics, barrel percentage, exit velo, launch angle, all that. He's still consistent with those numbers now as he was when he was 27, 28. So, I know that's not the end all be all. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but if nothing else, that's kind of a positive sign as somebody that can come off the bench, especially in Yankee Stadium, and like I said, at the bare minimum, he can provide a power bat. If we need a big home run, that's somebody that I wouldn't be totally just terrified by if they came in.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, if any of these guys have a major role in this team, we're not in a good spot. The season did not go as planned. But I mean, I even looked at a couple of these guys. Like you look at Bruce. I mean, Bruce has 313. I think it is 318. Yeah, I was making sure it was the right number. 318 career home runs. Like this man doesn't mess around. Huh?
I believe that's 7. I saw today that's 7th among active players. Pujols, Cabrera. I know Cano is above him.
Encarnacion,
Nelson Cruz, and 2 others that I don't feel like sitting here trying to list off.
He flies under the radar. Like that's wild that he's that high. I mean, I assumed that, and I didn't know where he ranked. I was actually going to try and look it up, and I'm glad you found that out. That's like he's like one of the sneaky power hitters of the last decade that nobody talks about. You know what I mean? Because he's kind of just been bouncing around. He went from Cincinnati, where he was actually kind of sick in Cincinnati. Came in 10th in MVP and then 10th in MVP 2 years in a row in 2013 and 2012. He stayed in Cincinnati for a while. Then he went to Toronto, I think it was.
Yeah, he split the 2018 and 2019 seasons. I think he played for like 3 different teams during 2 years.
Yeah, that's
Are you
actually
talking
wild.
about Dietrich?
No, Bruce.
Oh, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Sorry, carry on.
No, yeah, Murph, you're right. He played for on Baseball Reference, what is TOT? It says MLB total. Okay, so those are his total stats. So then in 2017 he played for the Mets and Cleveland. About the majority Mets, a little bit of Cleveland. 2018 he just played for the Mets. In 2019 he played for another 2 teams, Seattle and Philly, and now he's with the Phillies again. Most recently, obviously, he's with the. I didn't mean that. Because I'm just looking at the most recent thing on Baseball Reference, and it says Phillies. But he's with the Yankees.
If I'm not mistaken, he did last half of 2019 with the Phillies, and then last year, or was it just?
Didn't he hit a really big home run against us in that 2017 division series? I'm pretty sure he did. And the game that Francisco Lindor hit the grand slam after the foul off the butt of the bat and all that shit. I feel like he hit a really big home run in that game. I don't know why. I could be way wrong, but it sounds right.
It's very possible. Can't remember.
I'll go with you. I don't care.
So did you guys hear what Cole, while we're talking about Jay Bruce, did you guys hear what Cole said about him?
No, what did he say?
So he was talking, I forget who the article was from, but they were interviewing Cole about the signings in general, and it's particularly Bruce. And he said that Jay Bruce is one of like the smartest hitters he's ever faced. I think, paraphrasing, I don't have the article in front of me, but I believe Jay Bruce is around like a career 245-ish hitter. If you have Baseball Reference up, check it. He hit
245 on the dot, Murph.
Wow. And I believe off Cole, he hit 306. So Cole came out and said he's been outsmarted by him, and was just saying that if he finds himself on the major league roster, can bring that. Basically, whether he still has the bat speed, or whether he can or can't get down to first baseline before like you get to and from the bathroom.
I didn't look this up. I would like to know, Chandler, if you want to look this up. What are his numbers in like pinch hit spots? Because I feel like a savvy veteran like that, he may get my vote. Before we go into who we're choosing to be in this spot, I think part of the argument goes to Bruce because, like you said, he's that savvy veteran. He has good at bats. And I think that plays for this role specifically, especially when you're going up against 2 other guys who are not nearly as experienced as you are in doing that, and Dietrich. And right. I mean, Dietrich kind of gets a little bit more of the notoriety because he's like, he gets exciting. He gets exciting.
He's a character.
He gets might be the fights. He watches, and then Ford. I think Ford is in third in this competition. Are we in agreement there?
No, I think he's in first.
Before we get there, we haven't gotten to our vote yet. We're gonna get to a vote at the end, but I just think. Why don't I make my case? Let's go around the room right now and say who we think is going to be this pinch hit spot. Actually, better yet, sorry, bad radio, but let's define what their role is going to be. So, because what is this? Like, what is this lefty bat? Is this a lefty bat off the bench? Are we thinking they're going to be doing? Or are they a rover? Because they're not necessarily all the same position. Like you said, Dietrich up before we got on is listed as a second baseman, but he kind of plays a little bit all over the place. Ford is a first baseman, kind of that's it. And then Bruce is more or less an outfielder, but he's really not. He's kind of been a DH for his last couple of years. I mean, he's old. He's up there. He's 33 years old. He used to be a good fielder, but now he's old. So, I think. What do you before we say what I think? What do you guys think this role is going to be for these guys?
I think they have, in a broad sense, the same role where they're bringing them for their bats. They're not bringing them up to start every single day. They're bringing them up to fill a utility role, which to me more or less is the same utility role, which is you're at Yankee Stadium, short porch and right field. You're a power hitter.
Dude,
but when you kind of pull it back a little bit, it switches a little bit because it depends on the needs that we need, especially defensively. Because Jay Bruce, I think, is the most experienced and probably talented hitter that out of these three, but he's limited in what he can do. Because if he comes up, he can't come off the bench and play the field. He's coming in to pinch hit to be replaced by somebody else on the bench in the field, or he's DHing or pinch hitting for the DH. So he can't. It's not like he can come pinch hit in the seventh inning for, basically anybody in the field and then go out and play that position for the last 2 innings of the game. Whereas Dietrich can do that and Ford can do that at first base at least. So
I think
that's the difference.
I think Ford, he's the only one. He's still got minor league options left. I'm pretty sure. I don't think he's going anywhere. Realistically, I don't think any of the three are going to make the roster. I think Ford's going to be around longer just because he still has those minor league options. I don't see Jay Bruce or Dietrich, maybe Dietrich because he's still 30, but I don't see either of them sticking around to play AAA. Sure as fuck not Jay Bruce. I mean, he's 34 years old. He's not going to just be hanging out in AAA. So I realistically, I think they'll probably get cut and Ford will just kind of be the shuttle guy to come back and forth when inevitably there are some injuries, just to be a bench bat. But again, that's if any of them make it, that's their whole role. Is bench bat, and exactly what Murph was saying. You have one job, that's to come in, hit a clutch home run. Everybody's just going to boo the shit out of you. So
they have. I was just looking at the projections for both. I personally don't think Ford has, especially because he has options. I think they use them. These other two guys, like, are you really going to stash a 30 and a 33-year-old in the minors? Especially these guys. I don't know. I think these guys, you're bringing them up to have that veteran presence and go after a World Series because you're, 26 men deep and the 26th man is a fucking savvy vet like that. So that's why I love these moves first and foremost before any one of them does win this job. But I was just looking at the projections on Baseball Reference, and these are usually like kind of conservative, which is wild because when I look at Jay Bruce's projection, they have him with 18 home runs, which to me is
no way
astronomical.
If he hits 18 home runs, I'll be more than happy.
And 50
if he
ribbies.
hits 18 runs, that is a huge season.
How many games
at this point?
It doesn't say games in the projections, but it does say 372 plate appearances.
Damn.
Which is
it's like 100 games.
Yeah.
That to me is
it's about 100 games. There's no way.
Wait, hold on.
Unless that's like maybe they're projecting.
Are you looking at like
stats?
an old year?
Dude, he hasn't. I mean, no. This is a projection for 2021. These are just ridiculous. It says 71% reliance too.
Could they be projecting his AAA because he has a minor league contract?
I don't think they do that for AAA players.
I don't know
because then when I go to Derek Dietrich, also he's projected 14 home runs. So they haven't made up their mind.
He was a minor league contract, so like they could be assuming.
Do you think that's what they're doing?
I've never seen projections for minor league players. I don't know. Look up like Florial or something. See if they have them for him.
How the
Clint is projected 19 home runs, so there's no way that they're doing. And they projected 441 plate
Clint's
appearances.
in the MLB.
Okay, but they're projecting 441 plate appearances. Let me look up. So Florial.
Okay, but 19 home runs for
Florial. Look up Florial.
Okay, they have projections for Florial.
Yeah, so they're probably. My guess is that
makes a lot more sense
for the minor leagues. That makes.
Okay, wait. Do they have Jason Dominguez on here? Because obviously he's not going to. I don't know. I don't know if they're projecting.
I don't know if they go that low.
I don't know that he's going to be the bat off the bench, but
Either way, so I was just trying to look at them so I could set an over-under, and I'll make my own over-under. So over-under, whoever wins this role, over-under, I got to think about it now. I wish I had the Jeopardy.
10.5 home runs.
10.5?
Yeah.
I think it's a lot. 8.5. Over-under 8.5 home runs for the bench bat.
We also, sorry, but they're coming up, I think, based off injuries. Like I think one or two people have to go down before any of these guys maybe even come up.
You think that's
because you have Higgy on the
like
bench, you have Hawkman on the bench, you have Guardy on the bench, you have Wade on the bench. That's 4, and then Boone also said they might carry 3 bench guys and 14 pitchers at some points in the season.
Yeah, and I mean 2 bench spots are already guaranteed taken, so you're looking at 1, maybe 2 spots to go between Wade, Andujar, these guys.
Andujar, too.
Yeah.
Andujar's not seeing the field this year.
Okay, but would you take Andujar over any of these 3? Absolutely.
I think I'd take Bruce over Andujar.
I would not.
You guys would both take Andujar over them?
Andujar is so good. I stand by this. Like, I will take that to my grave.
I think Andujar is good too.
Rookie of the year.
I'm not going to sit here and stroke off Andujar, but
I am.
He deserves to be in the majors, I think. I don't see him in AAA. So, unless he's hurt.
Yeah. When you look at, I mean, you even heard Clint talk about it today, and he was super excited about getting, we always try to find a way to work Clint's name into a podcast, even if it's not about him. But you saw him today talking about how excited he was, and this is what I've been talking about him, like every episode, about like how the numbers we've seen, he played 162 career games on the dot to this point, and his numbers are like pretty good, like 24 home runs, like 80 whatever RBIs, something along those lines. Nothing staggering, but he feels confident about those numbers, and those are in like spurts. That's not inconsistent playing time. It's like, you're just kind of floating around, getting your at-bats when you can, and that is kind of where I see Andujar. So I do see why you guys still have confidence in Andujar, and I still have confidence in Andujar also. So maybe he makes his way into this conversation about this like bench bat. Realistically, this guy is probably
last man on the bench.
Close to the 26th man, which the fact that we're having this conversation, and obviously these projections are fucking not true, but the fact that we're having this conversation and these guys are the guys we're talking about. I mean, who was in the situation last year? Was it just Wade?
Well, Ford wasn't even in the Ford was in the
Wade was higher.
Guaranteed bench bat conversation.
Yeah. Anytime that Ford's guaranteed a roster spot.
What? Last year you were talking about Ford taking Voigt's job at one point, which obviously was an outlandish take, but it's not that outlandish. That says
it was not outlandish at the
Ford
time.
Was.
It was certainly a hot take last year, and I would stand by it because I didn't know who knew Voigt was going to lead the league in home runs. Nobody.
You want to hear Ford's 162 game average?
Yes, I do.
From Baseball Reference. It surprised me. So he had a terrible 2020, but this is included in that. 29 home runs, 74 RBIs, 217 batting average, not great. 217, 308, 461 /line.
How many career games has he played though? Because I know he had that one monster like August in 2019.
He's only played 2 years.
And so whatever fall that he hit the walk-off home run, the like back-to-back with Gardner or DJ or whoever it was. Oakland? Yeah. That year, he had like fucking 10 home runs in the last month. So I think those numbers are a little skewed.
He's only played 79 games.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, those numbers are a little skewed. So I would not count on that every month of his major league career. But it's kind of encouraging, I guess.
Games,
I don't know.
25 RBIs.
Do you remember when they compared Mike?
Yeah,
Ford?
Those numbers are kind of skewed.
Do you remember when they compared Mike Ford to not Barry Bonds, to Babe Ruth?
No.
You don't remember that? That was like all over the news. They compared Mike Ford to Babe Ruth because he had that line of when he had a couple walk-offs like within a couple of days, and they just called him Babe Ruth. I remember I made the meme of him on Babe Ruth's face. You don't remember that?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
He's
I think
clearly
you're
not
making
Babe
this
Ruth.
up.
I mean, Babe Ruth wasn't good, so it's not a big deal. So it's not like a crazy
Oh my god!
comparison.
You stop with that for the love of
Babe
God.
Ruth
It's been
wasn't
2 years.
a good player.
Shut up.
And really neither is Mike Ford, so it works.
You want to
But
hear a fun
speaking
stat
of
so
Mike
you can
Ford,
stop
before
talking about
your fun stat, Mike Ford, he was literally Barry Bonds in the minors. Like, can we talk about that for a second? Because maybe that plays, and maybe like if he gets, I mean, none of these guys are going to get consistent playing time, but like maybe that adds to his case. Does it? Can I pull up his minor league stats?
I mean, I don't think that has anything to do with it. He's seen the major league level. So is Dietrich, and so is.
I just thought it was funny though.
I mean, yeah, no, it is funny, but it has nothing to do with this. But these three guys, the other two have done it in, a big league uniform, not at fucking Princeton and Trenton. So,
That's a really good point.
it has zero. I think that has zero impact on it at all.
He had
He's
a
gonna
negative
be. He's not gonna get
0.6 WAR
cut.
last year.
That's good, right?
Now that we're talking about it, I'm starting to shift my mind a little bit because I was originally pretty big on if I had to pick one, it was going to be Dietrich, I think, just simply because of the upside. And I'm starting to change towards Bruce a little bit. But one thing about Dietrich, people absolutely hate him. Pitchers specifically absolutely hate him, and for good reason. So he averaged. Oh, I'm sorry. In 2016, he was hit 24 times.
Jesus Christ.
And 25 times in 2019. I forget how many games he played in, but the 162 game average for his hit by pitch is 27.
Is that a record? That's ridiculous.
I have no idea. I don't know the average hit by pitches in 162 games, but I mean,
that's got to be it. I don't even need to look up the record. Like that's got to be it.
Say what you want, but
like name your price tag thing. Like what I know that's the record. Like, I mean, he's just a hittable guy. I would hit him. Look at that picture of him.
I would too. Yeah.
Look at the one of his walk off, or not walk off, but his home run against the Pirates, where he just sat there with like one button done, just fucking staring at it, like leaned so far back.
That was like the year before they let the kids play. Like that, I feel like would have been a little more acceptable. Like the following year with Tatis and Acuna, everybody came up and started doing it. He did it just a little too early.
Picture
That's
that.
Why I want him to be the guy, just because.
Me too.
Dietrich.
He's also bad at the time.
Dietrich just could be like the goon. Like he just gets ejected, just fires up the team like lightning in a bottle, and like that could be what gets this team going. Like when Boone did the Savages in the Box thing. It could be Dietrich, and he's fucking shredded. Like you see the pictures of him; he's absolutely yoked. Put the picture on the screen of him, like where he's going like this, and he's just like fired up. He probably walked off a game first in his life, but like he just could be that goon, that fourth line banger in the hockey team, just like going out there to fight. And if he goes out there and fights, and we leave all the fragile guys and all the guys that we don't want to get ejected or anything because we need them to actually win baseball games. We leave Judge over on the side, Stanton over on the side. They could win a fight. They may get hurt on the way there, but we leave them over to the side. We let Dietrich just duke it out. Maybe that's the role. We were trying to pinpoint the role for these guys. Maybe Ford, Dietrich, and Bruce are all just going to be the goon squad, and we're going to not put them on the 26-man, but we'll just make them extra bullpen arms, so we just stash them right outside the bullpen. If a fight happens, they just run on the field and get ejected, but you can't get ejected because you weren't even in the game anyway. So, and like Boone could just be like, nah, they're not even on the roster. I don't even know what they're doing here. So they just go to like jail for a night, and we bail them out, and like that's that.
Dietrich, just the way he is, he only needs one big moment. I'm telling you, if it's like, even if it's middle of the summer and Dietrich, let's just say it's this random summer game, people are banged up, nothing serious, for fuck's sake, please, nothing serious. And, he comes in and hits a walk-off home run against the Red Sox or something. He could go 0 for 80 for the rest of his time in New York. And every time that man came up, like, they would be praising him to the fucking high heavens. So, he's just that guy. If he did that exact same pimping of that home run in a night game against the Red Sox in Yankee Stadium, I mean, the dude's a hero instantly.
So to final out, this episode actually got kind of long. We thought it was going to be a short one, but let's put our picks rapid fire real quick. I'm going to go with Bruce for this spot. Chandler, what do you got?
Bruce.
Murph, did we convince you enough?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Bruce, but I'm also going to say that if any of them were to make the opening day roster right out of spring training, I think it would be Dietrich.
Interesting.
Like, I can just picture him having like a piping hot spring training and then just tossing him the last spot in the bench and seeing what he can do, especially if somebody goes down in spring training.
That's kind of why I'm excited. That obviously for a number of reasons I'm excited to go to spring training. But these are the guys I'm going to pay attention to in spring training more. Like last year when we went to spring training, we were looking at the Luis Gills, your boy, like the four Luises.
Medina. I mean, I don't mind Gil, but
Gil
Medina.
too. But Medina was the main guy
Gil
we were
did
talking about.
Yeah, Gil did pitch.
Gil did pitch. Gil gave up, I think, like 4 runs at the end. He gave up that grand slam, and like there was one inning where the Sox came back a little bit. But these are the guys that like spring training doesn't matter for anybody, but like these guys, it actually really matters because they could or could not have a job. So they're actually going to be playing with some fire. They're almost like just like college players that are trying to play for a job. They are literally playing for a job. And these are older vets that don't want to go to the minors. Like, you think these guys want to go to the minors? They're going to be actually, that's a fun what to watch for. These guys are playing for their literal careers. And I think if they get sent down, who knows? Like, they could hang him up. Bruce could hang him up if he could start on other teams, so maybe that's not true. But, I mean,
I don't know if he could start on other teams anymore.
There's some bad teams.
I think he could. He could DH for like the Mariners or something, especially now that everybody on the Mariners hates their own team. So
I mean, the Pirates are pretty fucking
I don't blame
bad.
him. I'm just saying.
So like, if need be, maybe we just like, I don't know. Never mind. Let's just end this.
Either way, they signed contracts.
This is fun to see what's kind of happening with this group of guys, this ragtag group of guys. But in reality, these guys have not much of an impact. And if they do, like we said before, we're not winning the World Series. Just put it at that. So that will do it from us.
Decides to bring out a version of their past selves.
No. See you guys later. And if you haven't already, these episodes are now going to be uploaded to YouTube every time. We have a Patreon now. Every episode is going to be streamed live to Patreon. We always actually record these after games during the regular season. Like, roll calls aside, roll calls are kind of like sporadically recorded, so we just do a bunch whenever we're bored, and then we just schedule them. But for the regular season, we release on Tuesdays and Fridays, so we record them on Monday nights and Thursday nights. So if there's a game that night, we record them right after the game, so it's like up to the minute. So we basically get a live reaction on the Patreon, so it's going to be a ton of fun. And yeah, hop in the chat, talk to us. We're always up for a good time. So that's fun. Patreon.com/161boys. And give us a 5-star rating because we love you guys. So